Hey, it's Mr. Doc here on a beautiful sunset beach, hanging out with my friend the cell. I really wanted to get to know the cell on the inside, really deep kind of bonding time. And I thought I'd invite you guys along because I know you want to learn more about the cell. So I thought, well, why not, why don't we all just hang out on the beach and enjoy learning about the cell. Okay. Today we're going to talk about organelles. Organelles are the little parts of the cell that make it look kind of pretty. But it's also the parts of the cell that really make it do what it does. And of course, because cells are the functional unit of both structure and function of all living things, it's the function of cells like this that allow you to function. So let's go ahead and take a look at what an organelle really is. Okay? An organelle is a small structure inside a cell that carries out a particular function or job. They're very similar to organs in your body in that your heart has a job, your liver has a job. Each organelle has a little job that it does. Eukaryotes, which are true cells, if you translate it, have membrane-bound organelles, which means we can tell where they start and where they stop, all the little membranes that go around them. Prokaryotes don't have membrane-bound organelles, which means all the function kind of goes off somewhere in the cytoplasm, which is this area here. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the first organelle that we're going to talk about, and this is the cell membrane. The cell membrane, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the beach because that's kind of confusing. But anyway, the cell membrane is sort of the outside area here that is controlling what gets inside and outside the cell. Oh, goodness gracious. My video is going crazy. I'm all red and nasty. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. That's really funny. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. So the cell membrane is what tells us what gets inside and outside the cell. It's made up of two layers of phospholipids that have a hydrophilic and a hydrophobic end. Hydrophilic means water-loving, and hydrophobic means water-fearing, which allows it to control the amount of water getting inside and outside the cell. The membrane is also composed of proteins which allow bigger things to get through, which makes it selectively or semi-permeable, which means that some things can get in, some things can get out. The fluid mosaic model of the cell membrane is what's contemporarily followed. That means that we have this idea of pieces that build up the whole membrane. The next organelle that we want to talk about is the cytoplasm, which really isn't an organelle. Hold that thought, I gotta sneeze. Oh. Achoo. All right. The cytoplasm is this inside area of the cell. If we look at our cell, it's this area right here. The liquid medium inside a cell is called cytosol, which is kind of confusing because the word cyto means cell and the word sol means salt. But if you think about it, the inside fluid of a cell is actually not pure water. It's actually a saline solution, which is a mixture of water and salt. So it actually does kind of make sense. Now, we also know that cells have some sort of shape or structure because we know that shape determines function. What we need to understand then is that the thing that gives cells their shape is called the cytoskeleton, and it's a series of little bars and tubes and whatnot that hold the shape. Those tubes and bars are called microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments, and that's what helps give the cell its shape. The nucleus is something you're probably already familiar with. The nucleus is the brain, the command and control center of the cell. It's where the DNA is. It's where the chromosomes are. And most eukaryotes, particularly those that are specialized, have what's called a nucleolus, which is a dense region in the center where most of the DNA is housed. Olus is a way of making a word kind of smaller or more endearing. It's like adding a Y to the end of a word. Bill or Billy, right? This is kind of like nucleolus or little nucleus, mini nucleus, mini-me, whatever. A ribosome is the next thing that's probably new to you. Ribosome is a very, very small sphere-shaped organelle, and in this thing you can see a whole bunch of little white dots just kind of all over the place. Those are ribosomes. They decode DNA, but more specifically RNA, excuse me, to produce specific proteins. They are protein producers, okay? So, ribosomes make protein. That's important. That's what you need to know. Endoplasmic reticulum, by the way, a word you want to learn because it makes you sound smart. go to a party and go, no, 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 I was just studying the inner workings of the endoplasmic reticulum. People are like, wow, you're smart. Anyway, the endoplasmic reticulum in this diagram is represented both in teal and in blue. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. The teal kind, if you notice, is very spotted with those little white structures. Wait a minute, we just talked about the white structures. They were called, oh yeah, ribosomes. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum is dotted with all these ribosomes, and it produces proteins. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum is this blue structure here, right? And that produces lipids and hormones. The endoplasmic reticulum is the circulatory system, or the highway of the cell. It's what gets stuff from here to there. The next thing is Golgi apparatus, which in my opinion is the most fun to say. Golgi. Golgi. Golgi apparatus is the packing and shipping part of the cell. What it'll do, and it's represented here in pink, what it does is it takes amino acids and carbohydrates and all this other stuff, and it packages up and sends it to the part of the cell that needs it, which is really cool because what happens then is that the cell gets the stuff that it needs when it needs it. So it's basically kind of the ordering. You say, hey, I need this many amino acids of this kind, and the Golgi apparatus goes, gets them, and delivers them for you, kind of like the Domino's guy. All right, the word lysosome can be literally translated. The word lyso means to destroy or to kill. The word some means the word body or structure. So lysosome means the killing body. They should make a horror movie or an action movie. He's indestructible. He breaks things down and returns them to their matter from whence they came. He is the lysosome. Yeah, I've lost it. I know. Just leave me alone. Lysosomes are the digestive organelle in the cell. Basically what they do is they take proteins and lipids and carbohydrates and they break them down. They break them down into the little parts so that the cell can use it. What's really nice, though, is a lysosome can also take organelles that have been worn out. Let's say we have a ribosome. This is past its prime. It's really not going to function anymore. The lysosome can engulf it, break it down, and then we can build new lysosomes out of the parts that it broke down. So that's kind of cool. So coming to theaters near you, Lysosome 2, the killing of organelles. Leave me alone. All right, mitochondria. Well, hold on a second. Why haven't we asked this question earlier? If the cell's doing all this stuff, how's it doing it? How's it doing all this work if it doesn't have energy? We have an organelle for that. We have an organelle who's responsible for energy, and it is the little orange things right here. By the way, this is a lysosome, the little yellow thing. This is a mitochondria. Looks like a bean, doesn't it? Look at it. It has energy, and we're going to figure out how. What happens is the mitochondria produces ATP, which is the functional unit of energy for cells. What does that really mean? Well, let me give you an analogy. Let's say you get a paycheck from your work, and you go to the store, you want to buy a jacket. You don't hand them your paycheck. That's stored money, right? What you have to do is cash it and get the dollar bills, right? And then you can pay with the dollar bills. The dollar bills are ATP. They're functional. You can actually use them for energy, whereas the paycheck is stored energy. And what a mitochondria does is caches the energy paycheck. Okay, we've got this big stored energy, and what the mitochondria does is releases it into energy that we can use. And of course, cells that have to do more have more mitochondria. So muscle cells are jam-packed with mitochondria because they do a lot of work. All right, our last organelle is a centriole, and the centriole is right here. It's two little tube structures made up of microtubules, and what it does is it helps organize the cytoskeleton, particularly when the cell is going to divide. So what's going to happen here is that the DNA is going to do some stuff called mitosis and get ready and all this other stuff. The whole cell is going to be involved. But more importantly, right now, the microtubules are going to split, and one's going to go here, one's going to go here on either side of the cell, and it's going to create a way for the cell to split in half. And we'll talk about that when we talk about cellular reproduction. All right, so let's go over our objectives and see what we learn. In 3 words or less, what is the function of the cell membrane? Inside, outside. That's what I always say, because it determines what the inside of the cell is and what the outside of the cell is, but it also decides what gets inside and what gets outside. Cytoplasm, inside cell. It's this whole area. What's the nucleus? Command and control. 3 words. Nucleolus, Little nucleus. If it was a wrapper, it'd be little nuke. Right there. There's the nucleolus, right? The big center here. Ribosome makes protein. Endoplasmic reticulum, circulatory system. Or highway stuff. All right, Golgi Apparatus, packing and shipping. Golgi Apparatus, packing and shipping. Lysosome, death body or digestive system. Mitochondrion, powerhouse. And finally, Centriole, organized cytoskeleton. There you go. Every organelle, you know what the function is in 3 words or less. You are ready to go. Okay? So the next thing we're going to talk about in terms of our podcast, we're going to have some information on osmosis and diffusion. We're also going to talk about active transport, but that's coming up later. You sit down, relax, because now you and the cell are intimately acquainted and can spend many years together in happiness, knowing that you know each other very well. Okay? Have a good time. See you then.